I cannot believe I am doing this, but there's a poem that has been going around Facebook called Explaining My Depression to My Mother. It is a poem, obviously, that's written by someone who deals with depression. And I've seen it before. It was going around a lot a few months ago, and I refused to watch it just because these poems are almost romanticizing depression. So originally that's what I thought it was. But then I watched it and I had a reaction, and so I'm going to film myself reacting to it and explaining it bit by bit, and you'll see why I decide to do a reaction to this video once I start. So I'm going to put in my headphones. Here we go.
Explaining my depression to my mother, a conversation. Mom, my depression is a shapeshifter. One day it is as small as a firefly in the palm of a bear. The next, it's the bear. On those days, I play dead until the bear leaves me alone.
Okay, so what she's talking about right now is 100% accurate, at least for me. Some days your depression isn't as bad as others. So a lot of times when someone who's dealing with depression, at least in my case, I'm going to talk about this from my situation, people will be confused because they think that depression, the way a lot of people explain depression for themselves, is that it's like a cloud that's always hovering over you, and that you are never happy. So people are very confused, or can be very confused, when someone seems to be a bit happier at times and then a much more depressed other times. And so the reason for that is because your depression isn't always as bad at times. A lot of people get really confused when like depression changes, and it does change. Here we go.
I call the bad days the dark days. Mom says try lighting candles. When I see a candle, I see the flesh of a church.
This is actually the part that I really wanted to talk about. I didn't realize it was so soon. Well, hold on. We have to keep playing it for you to hear it.
Mom says try lighting candles. When I see a candle, I see the flesh of a church. The flicker of a flame, sparks of a memory younger than noon. I am standing beside her open casket.
What she's saying is her mom is giving her suggestions to help depression, but what she's saying is her mom doesn't understand depression, and so her suggestions aren't helping her. But what I want you guys to know is that there are multiple things that can help depression. She's saying that something as simple as lighting a candle cannot help her depression. But for me, candles are like my best friend. They help me in my anxiety and my depression so much because of literally the light. I literally always have candles on me at all times. I have to have candles. It truly, that's something that helps my depression. And so I don't want people to think that like depression is complicated. Yes. But certain things help certain people. Lighting a candle and taking a bath helps me to relax and helps me to clear my mind and stimulate my mind, which is ultimately one of the biggest things you want to do with depression. Now, that can be she can be literal about that candles don't help, because she's talking about the contrast from light and dark. But also she's saying that something that simple can't help depression, when for people, certain people it can. For some people, it doesn't stimulate their mind. It's not going to cure your depression, but it can help. And I'm not saying that candles can help everyone, but for me, it does help. And that's why I was like, you know what? Let's make a video about this. So let's keep going.
I am standing beside her open casket. It is the moment I learn every person I ever come to know will someday die.
That right there, I wanted to replay that part, is the gut of my depression. It is the sole reason for my depression. on a daily basis, is that yes, and it's like, so you know how she's talking in her poetry, it's like almost like a overwhelming rush of all this information. It's meant to be that way to make you feel what it feels like to be depressed. And it leads to that someday we will die. So all of this, so her lighting a candle, this one little thing, spirals into a bunch of depression. So I think that she could be literal. Maybe candles doesn't help, but she's saying that one simple thing, like this one thing, can lead to a spiral of depressing and anxious thoughts that lead right back to the core of your depression, which is the fact that one day we will all die. And that is the core to my depression. And I don't know if that's what it is for everybody, but when she said that, I related so much, because every single thing that I do is a spiraling, anxious, depressing string of thoughts that leads to one day we will die. Every single one of my thoughts leads to this. And that is so scary, because that's not a normal way to think. And I really like the way she set that up.
Besides, Mom, I'm not afraid of the dark. Perhaps that's part of the problem. Mom says I thought the problem was that you can't get out of bed. I can't. Anxiety holds me a hostage inside of my house, inside of my head. Mom says, where did anxiety come from? Anxiety is the cousin visiting from out of town depression felt obligated to bring to the party.
This gives me goosebumps, because this is pretty much what I just said. Anxiety and depression are like almost come hand in hand. They're like friends. They're like one's visiting, the other's gonna come right after. This is a really good poem. Let's just keep going.
Mom, I am the party. Only I am a party I don't want to be at. Mom says, why don't you try going to actual parties? See your friends. Sure, I make plans, but I don't want to go. I make plans because I know I should want to go. I know sometimes I would have wanted to go. It's just not that much fun having fun when you don't want to have fun, Mom.
Okay. So what she's starting to talk about now is how depression and anxiety can hold you back. This is the part that fucks up a lot of social situations, and I feel like this is the reason why she wanted to make this, so that people could understand, well, obviously, understand depression, but like, people don't get, I'm starting to shake, people don't get that when you are, wow, I'm really reacting from this. People don't get that when you are anxious, depressed, for one, they go hand in hand, but now they affect each other in your social life. So it's so hard. You want to get out of bed. You want to so bad. People think that you enjoy staying in bed, but you don't. You want so badly to get out of that situation. But it's hard. Because fuck, dude. It's hard because, and it's hard to explain. You want to have a social life. You want to have friends. It sucks to be alone. But so you make these plans to force yourself to have fun, to force yourself to get out of this situation. But mentally, it's so fucking hard to get out of bed and do it. Once you do it, for me personally, I have fun most of the time. But getting to that point is really, really hard. And you have to you have to really drag yourself to have fun or not have fun. You really have to drag yourself out of it to force yourself to get up, to do things. And it's not something that people understand when you cancel plans, because you want so badly to have fun, but it's fucking hard to actually get up and do it. And a lot of people think that you're just being flaky, that you don't like them, that you don't want to hang out with them, that you're just a shitty person. But people really tend to think poorly of you when you have mental illness, because they see it as how you're affecting them versus what's going on with you. And it's hard to explain to someone, hey, listen, and then say what I just fucking said, basically. It's hard. People don't understand it because they're not going through it. And so you have to understand that, like, if you're someone watching this who is depressed and anxious, that people don't understand what you're going through. Poems like this kind of help, but still it's not something that a lot of people can really get. So let's keep going.
You see, Mom, each night, insomnia sweeps me up in his arms, dips me in the kitchen in the small glow of the stove light. Insomnia has this romantic way of making the moon feel like perfect company. Mom says, try counting sheep, but my mind can only count reasons to stay awake.
Okay, so this is something that people don't understand about me. Usually my excuse is that I'm a workaholic, which I am. I dive into my work as a way to basically distract myself. I become obsessed with my work and my things and my projects because it helps me. So a lot of people ask why I only get 3 to 4 hours of sleep at night, which is true most of the time. And there's good days and there's bad days. It's because of what she's saying. Insomnia, it's not even, for me, I don't see it as insomnia. It's, I can't get my brain to stop thinking. And it's, it's really fucking terrible. I remember really noticing it in junior high, maybe late middle school is when I consciously remember it. But in high school, it got so bad. Like, it was just out of nowhere. I just could not sleep. I would lay and toss and turn, and my brain just won't shut off. I can't make it shut off. It is fucking bad. So in high school, it was terrible because it affected my school. It affected when I started having a job. It affected work. I had to start taking naps at 4 p.m., which was really depressing for me because I also have seasonal depression. When I would wake up after taking a 30-minute nap and it be dark outside, I would be confused. I would feel mentally and physically exhausted. It was a wreck. But now I just handle it by staying up later to work, which is okay because I am a personal trainer and I create my schedule and I create when I work. So I literally schedule my life around depression and anxiety. Because I know usually the times it hits, especially when when it becomes a seasonal thing, my depression is much earlier than it usually is, or it arrives much earlier than it usually does. Because for me, it arrives at times of the day, which I'm filming this right now, because this is around the time that my depression hits. It starts to get dark outside. It's gonna get dark in maybe an hour, but at this time after the time change, my depression hits much sooner during the day. So I try and have busy work, like work that keeps me distracted. So usually I do my more difficult longer projects during the time that my depression hits. And if I am not doing that, or if the depression is just too much at the time, then I take a nap, which makes my depression much, much worse. But at the time it makes it better. So taking naps is only a temporary thing to do, and it only makes things much worse immediately after and for the rest of the day. So I try my best not to sleep, but depression can be very, very, very exhausting. So all you can think to do is sleep, and it's really sucks that people don't understand this, because this is just I'm just thinking of one of my friends who sees this as me being over dramatic, but it's really fucking not. And it pisses me off quite a lot.
So I go for walks, but my stuttering kneecaps clank like silver spoons held in strong arms with loose wrists. They ring in my ears like clumsy church bells, reminding me I am sleepwalking on an ocean of happiness I cannot baptize myself in. Mom says happy is a decision, but my happy is as hollow as a pin
this is gold, because yes, you're not making something out of nothing. And like I just said, one of my friends in San Diego says what she is saying. And it's just a huge misunderstanding because people don't get it. People don't see it from your shoes. They know, and okay, put it this way, everyone has their own realities, because our reality is the way we experience life. All realities are going to be different. So people with depression don't see the reality of someone else. They don't see, in this opposite, the same goes vice versa. Someone who isn't depressed, which I honestly had the thought that, you know, almost everyone could truly like feel depression at one point of their life. But the way people talk about depression, the way I hear certain people talk about depression, this year especially, I've realized, holy shit, there are people who are truly fucking happy out there, and that makes me fucking happy. But it also makes me realize, wow, this gives me something to talk about, because people don't get it. And if people do start to understand, and I don't want, that's the thing, is like, I don't get comforted by people knowing how I feel, or feeling what I feel with depression. That does not comfort me at all whatsoever. What comforts me is knowing that people don't think you're being overdramatic. They understand that your reality is different, and that your pain is different, and that you're truly feeling pain. What I don't like is when people disregard what you're going through, disregard your pain, say you're being overdramatic, say that they've felt depression before, so they know you're being overdramatic, because everyone's fucking depression is different. Everyone's reality is fucking different. Don't tell someone that they're being overdramatic, that they want attention, because you don't fucking know, and the next day they could be fucking dead. So, just fucking saying that. Let's continue.
And then flat out asks me if I am afraid of dying. No, I am afraid of living.
Okay, so for me personally, again, this is all about depression's different for everyone. For me, she says she's not afraid of dying, she's afraid of living. I am genuinely, wholeheartly afraid of both. I'm afraid of having too good of a life and it meaning nothing, and I'm afraid of dying because I don't want it to mean nothing. I'm afraid of both. I don't want to die and it mean nothing. And I love life so much at times that it scares me, because I don't want it to mean nothing. I want there to be a purpose, and that's what gives me anxiety. So for me, I am afraid of dying as well. So continue.
Mom, I am lonely. I think I learned how when Dad left, how to turn the anger into lonely, the lonely into busy. So when I tell you I've been super busy lately, I mean I've been falling asleep watching SportsCenter on the couch to avoid confronting the empty side of my bed. But my depression always drags me back to my bed until my bones are the forgotten fossils of a skeleton sunken city. My mouth a boneyard of teeth broken from biting down on themselves.
Yeah. What I just said. Staying busy to distract yourself from depression, and how even when you do that, it leads you back to trying to sleep because you're so exhausted, and that's the only thing at the time that feels okay to do. Oh my god, this girl nails this fucking poem. I will just say that.
The hollow auditorium of my chest swoons with echoes of a heartbeat, but I am a careless tourist here. I will never truly know everywhere I have been. Mom still doesn't understand. Mom, can't you see that neither can I?
She nails this. I really don't have much else to say. I just wanted to react and talk and explain what's going on. So yeah, that's really it. a lot of people don't get depression, and I thought I would make a little reaction video. And so I hope this guy helps you guys kind of understand what she's saying, and kind of give you another perspective on depression. There's similarities and there's differences, but she fucking nailed that poem, I will say that. It's a fucking damn good poem. So if you guys are struggling with depression, know that there are ways to make it better. And it doesn't have to be the end of the world. I know it's fucking rough. But everything will be fine. I fucking get it. When you're going through those times, I think the best thing for me personally is having someone who understands what you're going through to talk to. Therapists are great. I need one. Therapists are great. Psychiatrists. A lot of people don't enjoy medicine. I am one of those people, but when it comes to depression and something that fucking makes you want to end your life, taking medicine is something that you should not ignore. And there's a lot of people now, especially, like, I don't like to take medicine, but if it's going to save your life, then you fucking take that medicine. There's marijuana that's options if it's an option where you are. So many things that can help. There's casual, like, easy, simple stuff that can make things a little bit better, like lighting candles, taking a bubble bath, going for walks, working out. Actually, personally, working out does not help me when I'm in this case of depression and anxiety. But going for walks, swimming, being around people who care about you, those are all great, really great things. I can't talk. So, I just hope this helps some people to realize what depression is and how it works, and that it's not the same for everybody. And just because you've been depressed and got over it doesn't mean that your brain is wired the same damn way that mine is or somebody else's is. So just because you've been depressed doesn't mean you know someone else's depression, because they are different monsters. They work differently. They operate differently. They're not the same fucking cloud that's hovering over someone's head. They're literally different creatures for every single person. So just remember that before you go and judge someone else's depression, even if you've experienced depression yourself or anxiety, they're different monsters. So on that note, I will catch you guys in the next video. If you guys want more mental health chats or talks about anxiety or depression, I do have a blog post. I try to keep it low-key, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't really like to promote that it's mine from the blog itself, because I want it to come from a place of, like, genuine talking and not people being like, oh, let's link back to my social media, find out who I am. Like, I want it to be like a blog where it's like, this could be anyone that's writing this and you never fucking know. So that's kind of the place that I want it to be from. But at the same time, I'm okay with people knowing me personally and then referring back to that blog post. I just want people who are reading it to think, wow, this could literally be anyone and you never know. You can find the blog in the link below. It's called won'tkeepquiet.wordpress.com. And also give it a thumbs up if you guys want me to talk more about mental health on my channel, because I am more than willing to talk about this if it's something that you guys are interested in. I'm probably going to post it anyways in hopes that this can find more people and help people, because at the end of the day, this is the stuff that's important to me, not the stupid bullshit that I also post. I think it's fun at the time, but, like, this is the stuff that's worthwhile and means something, and I want it to fall on the eyes of people who need it. So, on that note, I will catch you guys in the next video, and I love you. Bye!